I think is going to be with us at 7:00. I texted for his availability last night and didn't hear back. So I don't know what's going on in New Orleans. I don't know what he's doing out there, but we'll see at 7:00.
He better show up. If he doesn't show up, he drags me from my life at 5:00 every Wednesday, and it really goes till about 5:50. It's not 5 to 5:30. Jared versus Joe goes about 5 to 5:50. He better get his butt up at 7 a.m. today. I don't care what happened in New Orleans, Jared. You've been called out.
Well, now I kind of hope he doesn't.
Yeah,
I want to see what you
total meltdown.
I want to see what you do if he doesn't.
A 9-minute run.
Nick, get all the drops we have of Jared to just be ready to run them for 11 straight minutes if he doesn't show up at 7. There you go.
I got a lot to choose from. TD will be with us at 8:00. We'll get into all things Tennessee Titans with him, and somebody want to bring us some gloves. Probably do that too. See what all happens there. And then I think what Joe is really excited for today, and really, almost why we're doing the show today, the final Pigskin Pick'em edition of the season. I have not updated the standings yet, so I need to do that. I'm sure you probably have. I need to do that before the competition takes place. I know that I'm in last place and have no chance to win, and it's down to you two. So we'll see how that goes.
The question is which of us are you buying pizza for?
Yes.
And Nick still has the edge, but I got a shot.
Okay. We'll get into that at 8:30. Joe, let's begin we got a lot to get into here in this first hour. A lot of things going on. Let's begin with the Lady Vols taking down UConn last night. I don't know if you heard on the broadcast, Joe, because they said it approximately 78 times, but it was the first time since 2007 that Tennessee has taken down UConn in the matchup. They win last night. Kim Caldwell, 18 days after giving birth, coaching Tennessee to their biggest victory in quite some time against UConn last night. What did you make of that game, and what does this win signify to you for Kim Caldwell and this Lady Vols program?
Well, I don't know if she needed validation. I mean, it's been an impressive debut season already for Kim Caldwell, and especially, like you said, when you factor in I'm gonna go away for a couple days, have a baby, be right back to practice, But I mean, to me, this means that Kim Caldwell has got to be on the real short list for National Coach of the Year. And that whole move Danny White, made, obviously firing Kelly Harper, and then hiring a relatively unproven coach. But a lot of people were mad. I remember the Knoxville News Sentinel had like an entire the print edition would have been like an entire page of angry letters at Danny White, because Kelly Harper is a program legend, so there's an extra element to it, which is why, to me, they needed to get away from that, and they needed to just try to be a great basketball program. Kim Caldwell can coach.
Yep.
And they've got some good players. I mean, Z Spearman had some huge plays. Talasia Cooper's just been a really good player this year. I mean, Paige Beckers last night, it was an amazing fourth quarter. Paige Beckers is hitting huge shots, getting the lane, hitting a three to tie it. It was a fantastic fourth quarter. And I tell you what, man, that is just a massive win for Tennessee. Great. I mean, this puts them in, to me, a really good position to potentially host in the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. But more importantly, like, just to send Geno packing.
Oh, yeah.
With an L.
That one felt
good. With a big L and a frown on his face. I mean, it's been a long time for Tennessee fans.
No, look, I've told you, I've struggled to watch the men's team recently because every time I do, they can't shoot. So when I saw that they were shooting well the other night against Missouri, I just left that one alone. I did watch that one last night.
Okay.
I felt very good.
And they shot well?
They shot well.
They made huge play after huge play.
My negative effect does not impact the Lady Vols, but apparently it does the men's basketball team. So we'll see how that goes and plays out the rest of the year. Big win for Tennessee last night. The NFL honors taking place last night as well. Josh Allen walking away with the MVP. Kevin O'Connell, Coach of the Year. You had Saquon Barkley winning Offensive Player of the Year. Patrick Surtain winning Defensive Player of the Year. And a big shocker here, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels from the Washington Commanders last night. Let's start with just the MVP part of it. Josh Allen edging out Lamar Jackson in the MVP race. Your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that are either way would have been fine. But a couple things. One, someone voted Lamar fourth.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
They're from Buffalo.
God, see, that's the thing. If it's like to try to basically stuff the ballot box with something like that, you should never vote for another thing in your life. So I hate that. And also, it's really weird that the AP player or the all pro voters are the same, but they voted Lamar in that and they voted Josh Allen. You know what I mean?
I hate it when
there
they
should
do
be
that.
consistent. Yeah. I mean, I guess some of them, the idea is like, well, let's have one of them will have one. No,
I cannot
this is the
stand
one,
that.
Yeah, this is the one that people care about. And so again, I have no problem with Josh Allen. He's a worthy MVP. Either of them would have been worthy. The way the voting actually went bothers me a little bit, but that happens a lot. The voting, we've talked. I mean, I've complained about the Heisman many times, and how people do that. It just, this whole thing, I think the worst is when you're such a homer for whatever team you cover that you do things to try to influence outcomes. Man, get the hell away from voting for anything.
Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2025. We talked about this with PK the other day, and this was coming out last night. Jared Allen, Sterling Sharp, Eric Allen, and Antonio Gates, the 2025 Hall of Fame members. So no Eli Manning in his first year of eligibility, which, quite frankly, Joe, I don't know that I'm surprised by. I think he's probably going to get in at some point, but I did not think that he was going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and I think that's right. I think both things are right. Look, I think ultimately he should get in when you talk about, the longevity, the numbers. When it comes down to it, those 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
If you're going to knock players, if you're going to compare players and separate them by Super Bowls, and sometimes with, keep players out there, McNair and Eddie George are talking about what if they would have won that game? Like, what, would that be a difference maker for them? Derek Mason, there's guys here who haven't gotten in. To me, Eli Manning beating Brady in those 2 Super Bowls is ultimately going to get him in. To me, some people will say, well, the Manning name will get him in. I think it's those 2 wins. And, he had great numbers. I've heard Kaharski's spiel, and I agree. It's like Derrick Henry's a Hall of Famer for sure, in part because he's like the clear best running back from his era, whereas Eli Manning was clearly a tier below the very top guys. And I hear that. I do. But I think he'll get in. I also think it's right that he is not in on the first ballot.
I would agree with that. Jared Allen getting in. We had him on our show last year talking about the Hall of Fame. He didn't get in last year. Finally punches his ticket. Interesting guy, that Jared Allen. I enjoyed having him on the program. It was good.
Good at curling, too.
He's very, very, very good.
Good at many things.
At curling.
But no, good for him. And he's worthwhile.
I agree. Yeah.
He's absolutely worthy.
I agree. So some other comments last night that Titans fans have run ragged with. So Derrick Henry was being interviewed, I think, by Diana Rossini. And he was talking about, just his career and how much time he thinks he's got left and all those things. And in those comments to Diana Rossini, he mentioned that, he wants to end his career in Baltimore. And he's the quote that Rossini put out there was, "I want to retire a Raven," which has gotten Titans fans all upset. Now, look, I was not there for the conversation. Obviously, I didn't hear exactly the way he said it. I'm just reacting to the written quotated form of it. I mean, my guess is what he's talking about is the Ravens are the last team I want to play for before my career. Yeah. And I don't know that he's saying I want to end my career and I will be a Baltimore Raven and nothing else. But man, there's a lot of Titans fans that are like, Derrick Henry is now dead to me after those comments last night.
I'm missing something here. I mean, yeah, if he said, "I will always consider myself only a Raven," then okay. But I mean, that's where he is. I mean, right? He doesn't want to keep moving around. Isn't that that's what it means to me?
I think so, and I think he likes the situation that he's in. And look, by all accounts, Ravens are a great organization. People love playing for the Ravens, so that's great. But a lot of Titans fans very upset by that.
Dead to me.
If he doesn't come back and retire as a Titan for a day, it's all invalidated.
I will say so. I mean, since we're talking Hall of Fame, it will be interesting. Let's say he plays one more year, has a great year with the Ravens. Let's say they don't get to the Super Bowl, but they have another great year. They get to the AFC title game or something like that. He has a 1,500-yard year, and then he retires or he goes somewhere else, or let's say that he retires. I don't think he will, but I'm just saying hypothetically. Yeah. I know this is another thing Carson said. Well, that's overrated, but is he a Titan going to the Hall of Fame, or is he a Raven going to the Hall of Fame?
I mean, he should be a Titan, but
I would think so.
I don't know.
I would think he'd be a Titan. I would think it would take several years of Ravens work for him to switch,
or Super Bowl.
We'll see. Yeah. If you win it all with them, then that's a game changer in a lot of ways.
then Titans fans will really be mad.
Yeah.
Then they can really get after it
Yeah.
on that front. Lots going on today here on the program. We'll take your reaction to the NFL honors last night. The Lady Vols taking down UConn. And coming up next, are NFL decision makers complete morons around the league? We'll get into that. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are live out at Duncan in Brentwood, 4930 Thoroughbred Lane. The grand opening, reopening of the Duncan out here. Come on out and see us. We're going to be out here till 10 a.m. So make sure that you come out, say hi, grab some Duncan coffee. We'll have some tickets to give away a little bit later in the program as well. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. So, Joe, the decision-making in the NFL sometimes leaves I think, a lot to be desired. We talked earlier a few weeks ago with the story coming out at The Athletic about the New York Jets and making some player evaluations and some personnel decisions based off Madden ratings in the EA Sports video game. Apparently, they're not the only ones that value the Madden ratings. So the Baltimore Ravens and this process, Super Bowl media days are going on and all these, there's lots of stories happening. Let's see here. General manager Eric DeCosta from the Ravens was on with Todd McShay. That's where he was at. Todd McShay of the Ringer. And he was talking about like player evaluation and also said that they use Madden ratings as well. He said, quote, for instance, Madden ratings. Who would have ever thought an NFL team would use Madden ratings in one of their models? Well, we do. I'm just giving you a small piece of what we do. So apparently, Madden ratings, not just a New York Jets thing. Apparently, this is more common around the league than we thought, which leads me to just ask the question, what are we doing in the NFL? What the heck's going on out here where we're using Madden ratings as a part of your system to evaluate players?
That's pretty amazing after the Woody Johnson thing because Woody Johnson should send Eric DeCosta, I don't know, I was going to say a fruit basket, but like send him like a Rolex or something, like you're a billionaire. I mean, because like Woody Johnson was destined to be just made fun of forever, but now I guess this is the best organization arguably in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like you look at what they've done to sustain that success. It was very difficult to do. So first of all, it's a funny thing to think about. What goes into the Madden ratings? I mean, there is actually like there is input from actual NFL people, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it legit to use Madden ratings? Should we rethink that? Is it actually it sounds absolutely ludicrous to me.
I mean, it sounds ludicrous to me, too, as somebody who's grown up playing Madden. Like, I know, first off, some of the ratings
he's got a 99.
Times
They're
are just
terrible,
awful.
Right?
Yeah, like some
off.
of them, it's like there's, you could go back and find different examples of quarterbacks that were either criminally overrated or criminally underrated in the game. But the fact that, like, this is apparently a thing. And people now, Eric DeCosta, is pointing out here, like, it's not like the major part of what they do, thankfully, but it is a part of their process here. I wouldn't even think that would even come to mind for an NFL executive to make decisions on.
It's wild. It's wild. This brings me back to a story. I probably have told this, but several years ago when I was at the Tennessean, we being Mike Organ primarily did a podcast, a series. It might have just been on like the Titans, either the Titans coming to town or maybe just on the Super Bowl season. But regardless, Floyd Reese came into the Tennessean, and we were talking about like, player values, kind of stuff like this. And he's like, in the 70s, like, before he was a GM, he's like these guys would seriously get a college football All-American, like a Street and Smiths, go through the All-Americans and draft off that. Like, seriously. Like, they didn't, before they had a combine. I mean, you hear stories of the draft, like great all-time players who, it's just like, I mean, people know they were good in college and they got a call, hey, you've been drafted by by the Boston Patriots. And I mean, there's just absolutely nothing goes into it other than, well, I heard this guy's good in college. Let's try him.
Yeah.
And, it's pretty amazing to think about that, where it's gone. But, like, there's so much. I mean, how many people out here just, we got Karski, got James Foster, right? Who, like, all these people who break down film and dig in at a granular. I mean, Stilly, he's breaking down film. Why don't we do let's use some of Stilly's film evaluation,
Stilly's film room.
But all this information, every single thing broken down to the absolute, to the grain. And we're talking about Madden ratings. It's just, it's wild.
No, it's crazy. Now, it also kind of lends to, I think, something we've talked about here on the program before. Like, how much information is too much, right? Like, is there an over-evaluation that takes place in the NFL? Because, like, has the hit rate of your free agent signings and or draft picks, like, has it really changed all that much league-wide over the last 20, 30 years? I don't know what the answer is. Like, somebody needs to do a deep dive and evaluate those things. I'm sure it's gotten better because there are more people devoted to those things. and there are more, people that in personnel departments, scouting, and all that. But sometimes I wonder if we've gone like too crazy in the NFL here, and it's just a little bit counterproductive with all the different information that's out there.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it's just like coaching a team. You'll hear this a lot from coaches. It's like, look, the coaches sit there and they go through everything, and they've got all this stuff. How much do you give your players?
Yeah.
Because your players need to be able to execute like something that makes sense and is not overly complicated. You could give them the entire lump sum of information, and what's it going to do? It's just at some point you're playing slower because you have so much information. Not a perfect analogy, but the same kind of idea. Like, yeah, is there too? I mean, so many people, all these scouts, and now you have. I mean, you got the Madden ratings. You have to factor that in. You got to weave that into the equation. No, it's interesting. That's a good question. I mean, I don't know the answer to that. It's still like you just don't know what someone's going to do when they get to the NFL. You don't know if someone's going to be Isaiah Wilson, right? There's so many intangible factors that have nothing to do with it. It doesn't have nothing to do because people do like try to figure out who everybody is. The Titans did serious homework on T'Vondre Sweat, for example, last year. But you still just don't know. And I still think that's a huge part of it. That and injuries can obviously blow up any evaluation.
I need to go back and look at the college football 25 video game ratings and see who's ranked higher, Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. It's probably Shedeur heading into it. Now, I wonder if Cam Ward ever caught up throughout the year.
That's right, because they do update it, don't they? Yeah, interesting. That's a good question. I think we'll have our answer.
I bet the Titans have already done that. Like Brian Callahan's logged on to the PS5 long ago. I'm like, guys, just so you know, Cam Ward finally caught up Shedeur Sanders. He ranked a little bit higher. Cam Ward's a 92. Shedeur Sanders was a 90.
I mean, look, based on my play of Super Tecmo Bowl, QB Randall Cunningham wouldn't give his name, okay, but it was QB Eagles on there. We had QB Eagles, QB Bills, and QB Browns. Jim Kelly, those three would not sign up. QB Eagles was absolutely the best quarterback in the NFL. People just didn't realize it at the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Based on my play, he absolutely dominated.
And then what did Thomas Dimitrov say yesterday? So I'm sitting there at the Centennial Sportsplex yesterday, and I'm caught in this group thread between you and Stilly and Caroline, and you and Stilly are screaming back and forth about Thomas Dimitrov. What happened yesterday?
Yeah, so A to Z Sports published this. They wrote about this. He did an interview on another station. And essentially, to boil it down, he said that the plan that he gave to the Titans was that Levis needed to be the starter next year. Which is, as soon as I read that, I texted the three of us. I said, wow, your guy, Thomas Dimitrov, he seems like a really smart GM. How did he not get this job? That's an amazing plan. Now, of course, there's dispute about the veracity of. So I don't know. Did Thomas Dimitrov go on another station and just completely lie through his teeth for 10 straight minutes? I don't know. The people are talking about it. I don't know, but
they have Strunk in the meeting. Now, Thomas, we're just not going to do that. But we appreciate your interest in the job.
We got Rand. Oh wait, no, we don't.
We got Rand. Oh wait, I fired him. we got one of the best coaches. Oh wait, fired him too.
Hey, here we go. Keezer's got this. Shedeur 93, Cam Ward 87. This is obviously out of 100, right?
Yep.
And by the way, as I look at this, I'm looking at my text to you guys of Bill Belichick and his girlfriend. That was a good moment from last night. Holy cow, Bill Belichick! Like seriously, it's like your granddaughter, bro.
It's pretty weird.
It's like your granddaughter dressed up when you go to Disney and you're going to meet the princesses.
Yeah,
like she's dressed up like one of the princesses she's going to meet at Disney, and you're her granddad, and actually she's your girlfriend. And Vrabel was laughing his ass off when Snoop Dogg made fun of it.
615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on the idea of NFL teams making decisions based off Madden ratings. And Bill Belichick's relationship, I guess, is on the table, too, on the text line.
Let's get into it.
More coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
because I've been a football fan for a long, long time. I mean, I remember back when the Cowboys was good. I remember back when the Chiefs was bad. And I remember, what was it? Bill Belichick's girlfriend wasn't even born yet.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, brought to you by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get-it-all. Snoop Dogg bringing the jokes last night at the NFL Honors Awards.
Snoop Dogg bringing the jokes, and then Nick bringing in the Nas. I like it for the intro. So seriously, okay, you guys are going to Disney this weekend. Yeah. Have you guys done that princess thing? Because we did it with Caroline.
Yeah.
Where you set up a time and you meet the princess?
Doing it again. Yeah.
I'm telling you. That's what I thought of when I saw her last night.
It is very weird. But hey, look, Bill, they seem very happy together. With all the pictures I've seen, they seem very happy together.
I'm so excited that they were ready. Because you have to be ready. You're producing that show, and you have to be ready. Like, whose reaction do you need to get? They had that sucker on Vrabel. They're like, that guy, he will laugh. I promise you, he will laugh at Belichick. And oh my God, Vrabel stifling the laughs was by far the best part of that.
I'm so glad he's back in the league as a head coach. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, someone on the text line is saying, but they're not really giving me any details, but apparently I know Stilly went on like his favorite little Boston show.
Felger Maz?
Oh yeah, let's talk about Vrabel. And someone was like, said he was on one, and I didn't hear it. And I said, give me the recap. And they just said that he and Vrabel ate and drank at the same pub in his neighborhood. Wow. I know that place.
I do too.
Vrabel does too.
Vrabel's a big fan of it, from what I hear.
They got other stuff hanging on the walls.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff.
So, tell me more about why Stilly was on one. I'd like to hear some of his stuff from yesterday because, I have my serious doubts that he's going to wake up at 7 a.m. and come on our show today.
We're going to find out here in about 26 minutes whether or not he's going to make it. It's Super Bowl week. He's been on Radio Row. He's had about 1,000 guests on Radio Row. But he owes us. Like, this is what we do every Friday morning.
This is his obligation. Yeah. Just like Jared versus Joe. Doesn't matter what's happening in my life. I'll be there for Jared versus Joe. So you have a hit every Friday at 7, Jared. Let's see if you can be a professional.
Did they respond back to me last night? No, yes. No. Just disrespectful.
Just caught in the vortex of Bourbon Street.
I've heard it's kind of wild down there. Have you ever been to New Orleans for a Super Bowl? How many Super Bowls have you covered?
I've never been to a Super Bowl.
Okay. There you go.
Never been to a Super Bowl. Never been. Yeah, never been. Obviously, so never been to New Orleans for a Super Bowl. I'm sure it's. I've been there. I've never been there for Mardi Gras either. I've been there for just non-times, and it's crazy. So yeah, it's got to be quite a scene.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing how that goes this weekend. Some of the stories I've heard down there already. There's all kinds of parties being thrown. Like, Stilly was talking yesterday how there was like a Club Shay Shay party for Shannon Sharp. He was throwing one down there. So
okay.
I don't know what all goes into that, but Shannon Sharp's an interesting dude.
Yeah, no doubt. Had some interesting stuff going on the social media. Yeah, I heard on Defeated, Forgiven, Likeable. What's the show?
Unsportsmanlike?
Yeah, thank you.
Defeated. Welcome into Defeated.
No, Undefeated.
Undefeated.
It was something, I heard they were talking about like they were on Bourbon Street, and then like this, like a suburban with all the security guards, and Brady walked into a club, Tom Brady, hopefully all Botoxed up.
Your boy. One thing that's interesting on that, like Greg Olson has been making the media tour, and he's talking about like, how upset he is that he's not calling the Super Bowl. And he's like, it's nothing personal against Tom Brady. He's like, actually, Tom Brady and my relationship is pretty good. Like, I have a great relationship with the people at Fox, but it's like when I was playing, like you play, you want to get in the league, and then you want to be a starter. And once you're a starter, you want to be an all-pro. And when you're an all-pro, you want to be a Hall of Famer. Like, that's what I want to be. Like, I want to be the best at what I do in calling a Super Bowl. And then he was on with, I think, Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco. And Ocho Cinco made sure to step in like the middle of his little speech there and was like, yeah, I want to call games this next season too. It's like, thanks, Chad.
Me too, Greg. Me too.
Thanks, Chad. Appreciate it.
No, look, I really think he's the best analyst out there. Romo, has gotten a little. I still think Romo's good, but Romo at times, I don't know if it's lack of preparation or just I don't know. He's annoying at times. I think Greg Olsen is the best analyst, and he would have been fantastic for the Super Bowl. He would have been fantastic all year in the top games, and Brady got it. And you just got to – I still need to understand what the actual benefit is. I mean, I know what the cost is. It's that fans who like good analysis get worse analysis because Tom Brady's doing it instead of what's the benefit? I mean, like how many people are clicking because he's
I'll tell you what the benefit is. The benefit is that Fox as a whole, beyond getting him on the broadcast, gets him on all the TV stuff. And probably more importantly, they get into schmooze behind the scenes to all of their big donors and sponsors.
Yeah, and I've heard that. So, okay. I mean, I'm sure that there's value in that. But I guess it would be great if the actual quality of the product came high on the list of concerns.
I would agree. Now, again, I thought early in the year he was really bad. I think he's gotten better. It's still not great.
Yeah.
But I think he's gotten better. Yeah.
He's okay.
I think you nailed it the other day when you said Brady he would probably be he's probably good enough to be on the third or fourth crew.
Yeah.
It's probably about right.
Which is pretty good in your first year.
Yeah.
But
he's no Jason Witten.
So I don't remember Greg Olsen's first year, Yeah, Witten, he is better than Witten. Like at Witten's first year of Monday Night Football, I think Brady is better than that.
I would agree.
Witten was trying to just be Romo, and it didn't go well. But I don't remember Greg Olsen starting out. But I just feel so maybe it was rough, and maybe he got way better. But I just feel like it's just really to be able to do what he does, which is again quickly see something and then quickly be able to deliver the information on it that is beyond the obvious.
Yep.
There's no way that's easy to do. He's tremendous at it. Brady is not. Brady talks about, when I was at Super Bowl, we did a parade. Okay, thanks, Tom. He's fine. He's not terrible, okay? But it's absolutely subpar for what you would expect for a Super Bowl, and that's what we're all going to get on Sunday. Yay.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing. He could have, he saved his best performances in his career for the Super Bowl. Maybe that's what he's doing for broadcast as well. He's just ready to go.
Maybe. I'm sure that when the camera closes in on him, he will be shiny and beautiful.
And he'll be making a pitch for some quarterback and the Raiders to come play.
Yeah, seriously, yeah. Yeah, the Raiders.
Any of you out there watching, who would like to come play quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's come up this week. People have been asking Brady about that, and it's really, to me, it's problematic. Like his responses are problematic. He's saying nothing. He's being completely vague and not answering the question, which I think to me confirms what everybody's been saying, which is, yeah, man, he's actually guessing games. It's insane.
Well, to your point about the product, let's say that's going to be the plan, which it looks like it is, by the way. Like they've asked Roger Goodell about it, and he's like, yeah, I don't have a problem with him calling games.
Right.
So he's going to call games.
Tom asks me all the time.
Right. And he's going to do his little role with the Raiders. Well, I would assume that means you're not going to get into any of the production meetings. Like the coach is not taking you behind the scenes of, all the information you typically get in those broadcasts.
He wasn't all the other people were there but him at the practice the other day.
Right. Like if I'm a coach, no, you're not getting anywhere near my operation here, which again, is it the world's biggest deal? No, but it does, I think, limit your information available to you on your broadcast.
I mean, he had to set up a separate thing with Mahomes before one of the Chiefs games he called this year. It's just, so it's he already has limitations. He's already not great. So then you lack that. And then, what about if and when the Raiders get good? Then he's calling the Raiders. It's just, there should be a separation there. It seems like it should be obvious, but again, people get so, glazed over by the Brady crap that they just let him do whatever he wants.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. There is a trade target out there in the NHL that Predators fans have been talking about for years that is apparently now available. And now that time has come, quite frankly, I want no part of it. We'll get into that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. This week's Nashville's best deal, Prince's Hot Chicken, the original and iconic hot chicken joint. Get half off a $25 gift card while supplies last at theGameNashville.com/deals. Gift card only good for the Tanger outlets in Antioch and inside Assembly Food Hall in downtown Nashville. Live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios is Nick Keyser, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. We are out here today in Brentwood at the grand reopening of the Dunkin', 4930 Thoroughbred Lane. We're going to be out here all morning long. And starting at 8 o'clock, Dunkin' will be giving away 100 days of free coffee to the first 100 guests in line. Again, starting at 8 a.m., we're going to be out here all morning long for our show. We'll be out here through 10 o'clock as well. So head on out, 4930 Thoroughbred Lane here in Brentwood. And we're out here on the patio. Already saying hi to people. Had Tim just stop by, and appreciate him stopping by. So the people are flowing in. People are flowing in.
The heat is not. The people are.
The people are. So, Joe, there is apparently a player that has been made available for trade, or that will be made available for trade, that the Anaheim Ducks are listening in on, and that is Trevor Zegras. Now, we have talked about Trevor Zegras several times here on the show. As, you know, the Predators throughout the entirety of their franchise have been looking for that young, dynamic, game-changing centerman. Now, what's interesting about Zegras is he has played center in his career, and he's also been primarily on the wing as of late. Now, he's still only 23 years old, Trevor Zegras. He has dealt with a lot of injury problems over the course of the last couple of years, to the point where it makes you really start to wonder, has it totally eliminated his effectiveness as a player? So 2 seasons ago, Trevor Zegras had 23 goals, 42 assists, and 65 points at the age of 21. So you're talking about a 21-year-old that put up 65 points. The year before that, he put up 61. So you felt like he was one of those players that was on the ascent. You know, he was on the cover of the video game. Like he had a bunch of highlight reel goals. Like he felt like he had the chance to be, you know, one of those new faces of the league. And since then, he's run into injury problems, and the production has just fallen off a cliff. He played 31 games last year. He had 15 points, 6 goals, 9 assists. Funnily enough, he's actually played the exact same amount of games this year so far, 31 games, and he's got the exact same production, 6 goals, 9 assists for 15 points. So he's going to end up playing more this year than he did a year ago, but the production is gone. Now, on one hand, he's 23 years old and has demonstrated when he's been healthy prior to these injuries, he's pretty darn good. On the other hand, the injuries have become a huge problem, and the production has totally halted with him. So I guess what I'd really love to know is what's the price going to be for Trevor Zegras? A couple years ago, I would have not blinked about this. Right now, quite frankly, if I'm the Predators, I'm not sure I have any interest in Trevor Zegras whatsoever. Your thoughts on this?
He's Keith Primo.
Yeah.
If anybody knows Keith Primo, it looks good. It's all there, but it just doesn't work out or whatever. And like you said, look, he's 23. But, yeah, even a year ago, I mean, I definitely floated it like, man, maybe this, you know, it hasn't gone well. But, you know, he's obviously a very enticing talent. It would have – I mean, to me, it's like – I mean, look, his availability should tell you something if that's the case, right? And that should kind of tell you what you need to know. He's 23. They badly need a young core to grow up with, and he's available?
Yep.
Okay. That should tell you all you need to know. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. And I have been totally on that train previously, but I think at some point you have to look at reality with him.
Yeah, I there's a chance that he gets through all these injuries and, you know, maybe he has a healthy offseason, he gets through things and a change of scenery and he looks more like the player he did before. I get really concerned when the combination of an injuries and the production just totally falls off the table the way that it has. And again, to your point, like Anaheim is a team that, you know, they got Leo Carlson and they've tried to really build some young pieces around Troy Terry and some of this young core that they've got there. And he was supposed to be a huge part of that. And he's just not right now. And the fact that they've reportedly made him available, I'd really love to see what the price ends up being for him. Like, it's one thing. Like,
I'd take a flyer if it's low enough.
I'd say if I'm the Predators, I'm not interested, and that's because, like, people floated out the idea, like, could you give up like a 4th round pick for Trevor Zegras? I don't think it's going to be that. Like, I think somebody is probably still going to get enamored with the potential and what we've seen there, so it'll probably drive the price up a little bit. But heck, if it's something like that, then yeah, throw your name in the hat and take a shot. I just don't know that I've got a ton of confidence that he's going to bounce back based on just how bad it's been the last couple of years.
Is there still Sega NHL?
I don't think so.
What's the primary NHL video game?
It's just NHL 25
on like
EA Sports, like the Madden equivalent.
On like PlayStation. What's his rating on that? I mean, maybe you could, if
his
you go
rating
and his rating looks good on that, maybe you can talk yourself into doing it.
His rating on that's probably pretty good, if I had to guess.
I mean, are NHL GMs as schooled in all the ways of evaluating players as NFL GMs?
You know what? Now that you bring that up, I need, as much as I need currently oxygen and warmth, I need Jared Stillman next week to ask Barry Trotz how much he factors in the EA Sports NHL video games to his player acquisition. Because apparently that's the strategy in the NFL.
Yes, I need that too, because I think Barry Trotz is going to bring up how he once played Atari in 1982.
That's when it started. That's when I knew that this was the future for player acquisition.
The hockey on Atari 2600 was awesome. So was the football. You could just like go through the screen. You could, if you miss a tackle, just go through the screen and tackle them coming back the other way.
Hey,
good stuff.
Whatever it takes to get the job done. So, we're going to focus so much, trade wise on the Predators, like who's leaving. I would still leave the door open. Like, I don't, and Elliot Friedman said this yesterday on with DVD, and I would agree. I don't think that this is going to be some teardown here that Barry Trotz is trying to, facilitate with the Predators. Number one, I don't think you can. Like, I don't think you can really tear this thing down the way it's constructed right now. So, like, we've asked for the last couple of weeks, how do you fix it? What's the solution? Well, part of that solution may end up being using some of the assets that you've accumulated to make a splashy move and to bring somebody in here that you feel like could be a difference maker. Now, I'm not saying that's Zegras because I'm not convinced that it is. I am saying, though, like, I wouldn't be surprised if he went out looking for somebody, not to be a buyer to make the playoffs this year, not to, give up some future asset for a pipe dream this year, but for somebody who's got some term that you feel like you could be a part of your solution next season. I would not be surprised if he tried to do that by the deadline.
Someone with more term in their life on Earth, would be good, than some of the people they have now. And, again, raise my hand. I'm way older than all of them. Cam on the text line driven by WilsonCountyHead.com says the Ducks want a D-man. He says Zegras for Shea. I would spend one of our 3 first-rounders on Zegras. Really? You'd give him Shea in a first-rounder? Cam? I don't know, buddy. I don't think you should be GMing. I would not do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's first off, Brady Shea, they're not taking him. Like, Brady Shea right now is an unmovable deal. Okay, let's just call it what it is.
Which is tough.
He's an unmovable deal, and he's got a big part of them fixing it is fixing him. Like, they've got to figure out how he has to play with this team moving forward. I don't believe that he's turned 30 and has come to a new place and has just completely forgotten how to play hockey, but they got to get that figured out this offseason. The Anaheim needing a defenseman too they need a young defenseman, but they've got a semi-decent defense core that they put together. They made the Jacob Trouba deal. Like, they really need to bolster this young forward core. They've got Gauthier in there, and they've got, Terry, and they've got Carlson. But even like Carlson was their first-round pick a couple years ago here in Nashville. And he's been okay so far. He has not been, I think, what they've expected to this point. So there's still a lot to figure out on that front if you're Anaheim. I'm really interested to see how that affects the return. And look, if you're Barry Trotz, Barry Trotz talked about taking swings. Well, this would be a swing. I don't know if it's a swing that I'd necessarily be interested in, but this would definitely be a swing if you did that.
Yeah, it seems more like a wiffle ball swing now.
Yeah. There you go.
If that makes sense, it really doesn't. Keith says, Robby, besides center, what positions should the Preds go after? I'd say all of them.
Well, yeah.
Goalie?
I mean, they're probably set on goalie right now, just with Ananen and Saros. But, yeah, like I would be open to anything. Like, they've made some moves on defense. I'm still not convinced. Like, is Justin Barron going to be a long-term part of their team? I don't know. Like, you can see it a little bit offensively with him. Quite frankly, defensively, he has been atrocious so far. So I like Adam Wilsby. You know, Spencer Stasny got a cup of coffee here this year and has now been sent back down to Milwaukee. So I'm not sure what that's going to mean for him.
There still could be
I
something
think,
there,
you know,
though.
forwards and defense, you're open to a lot of things right now if you're the Predators. I've been told Stilly will be with us coming up next via phone, live from New Orleans. Stilly's going to be
He's
there.
lucky. He's lucky.
We'll have Stillman on the phone with us coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hour 2, Robby and Rexrode, sponsored by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get it all. We are live out at Duncan in Brentwood, the newly remodeled Duncan at 4930 Thoroughbred Lane. We're going to be out here all program long. Duncan giving away 100 days of free coffee to the first 100 guests in line starting at 8 o'clock. So make sure you're out here for that. We'll be out here through 10 a.m. today. So lots of people saying hi already. We appreciate it. Come by, say hi out at Duncan, 4930 Thoroughbred Lane out here in Brentwood. We welcome in on our 102.5 The Game phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, our good friend Jared Stillman to the program, who's been live in New Orleans all week on Radio Row. Stilly, good morning. How are you?
I am so ready to come home.
Has it been a rough week in New Orleans? What's going on?
No. It's been a good week, but it's hilarious because last year I remember in Vegas being like, New Orleans is so easy to get to and from Nashville. It's not like it's a 4-hour flight where I'd have to figure out how to not miss the show or what. Like I could have, flown home at like 8 o'clock last night, then home at 10 o'clock, and then, totally ready to roll for the day. I was like last year and just right around this time, I was like, I think I'm going to come home on Thursday night of next week. Like that's going to be my plan, is to do, Radio Row for the first 4 days and then come home. And then when, it came to booking the trip, I was like, no, I'm going to go all 5 days for Radio Row. And here I am being like, man, I wish I had gone home last night. Like, it's not that I don't enjoy it. It's not that I don't like the Super Bowl. It's not that it's just, man, it's a lot. Like it's a lot. And I miss my little baby, so I'm ready to come home.
Well, there's that too.
You okay, man? You have too many oysters last night? What's going on here? Get a beignet.
No, are you an oyster guy?
No, I don't eat oysters. Jewish people don't eat shellfish.
Well, there's that. All right, I do want to ask you this. Have you found a single person down there all week that likes Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders at number 1 overall?
No. And Mike Renner from CBS is going to be on the show today. And he and I were chatting like when I was like, hey, you want to come on the show? And Renner and I were just, we were just chatting. He's going to come on today, but we were just chatting, whatever. And he was like, I hope they take Cam Ward. He was like, I don't think, I think he might be okay, but I hope they take him just because I want to see, but not like I hope they take him because he'd be good for them. And I'm like, oh, that's bad. I'm like, that's really bad.
Someone on the text line says, holy cow, Stillman sounds so hungover. You know what's awesome is we're at Duncan and your hungover voice is being blasted through the parking lot here. It's absolutely amazing.
It's good.
You know what's crazy is that last night I texted Caroline like after the honors because we went to, we did spend the night out before, but I texted Caroline and I was like, I'm not leaving. I don't care what is going on tonight. I'm not going. And Caroline was like, oh yeah, no, I've been in bed since 7 o'clock. I didn't.
So this is like when you work out for the first time after not working out, and then you're actually more sore the second day. Yeah. That's what you're telling us.
Yeah.
I mean, I did not move off the spot after like 8:30 last night. And I'm telling you, like the whole Radio Row thing at the Super Bowl, if you're not one of these like elite talents, well, I shouldn't say that because I do think I am one of those. But if you're not,
of course, we all do.
If you're not like one of these,
tell the people at Duncan about it. Go ahead. Sorry.
You guys rock. No, if you're not one of these like guys that has like 17 producers like Dan Patrick, where like I'm sure Dan just like walks in 10 minutes before he's supposed to go on, does his show and leaves. And while Dan sits there, he's just like, oh, okay, Derrick Henry's going to join us now, and J.J. Watt's going to join us after that, and then whatever. Like, if you don't have that, like, this is a lot. It is a lot of hustle and bustle, and it is a lot. Like, I remember last year in Vegas, and again, I told you about how I was like on Thursday or Friday of last year, I was like, I'm going to go home early. Last year in Vegas, like, I did very little like socializing. It just was a lot. I also kind of laugh out loud at the fact that Will Levis and Jeffrey Simmons have come to Radio Row but haven't done like any radio hits. I'm like,
what do they do?
I don't know.
Like they're just hanging out, just like walking around.
I guess I don't know. Like they talk to Jim Wyatt.
They're not going on Stilly's show.
Any other than the quarterbacks, Stilly? I know somebody wanted us to ask you about Myles Garrett, basically saying Titans. Please don't trade me to them. Anything else that really catches your ear this week?
Well, first of all, I don't even know if he said that. Like I saw
the quote. It was basically that.
No, it was some random guy tweeted it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he said it or not.
Like
so you're saying it may be fake.
Titan 3 said it on Twitter, and then one of those aggregators picked it up. But like I haven't seen him say it, and I don't know. Like Joe, does the New York Times accept what Mr. Titan 3 tweets out as like?
He's a key source. Fact? He's a key New York Times asset.
Hey, if he did say it, I couldn't blame him.
Yeah, now I'm looking it up.
Look, he wouldn't want.
I thought it was a legitimate account that sent it out. Oh, see, it's Dov Kleeman. See, that's the thing. That's where you get hooked into the Dov Kleeman thing.
Yeah, they sent us a memo.
And it's via Mr. Titan 5. Okay, I apologize for bringing it up.
So close. With all due respect to Mr. Titan 4 and Mr. Titan 3, I got Mr. Titan 5. I mean, so I don't even know if he said it. I'll just say the people sometimes when a team is bad, they're like, why would anybody want to come there? And the answer is almost always the money.
Yeah.
So like when you're a team that's a bad team and you want to go get players, you can get them, but you have to pay. The problem with a Myles Garrett and a Matthew Stafford is those guys already have money.
Right.
So, like, Matthew Stafford is not coming to the Titans, Joe. Now, I did say this yesterday in the program.
Yes, I totally said he was.
I did say this on the program yesterday. Apparently, we do have to start talking about this Matthew Stafford thing because if the wife's going to go on the podcast and just trash the team that he plays for, clearly there's an issue there. So, I mean, I'm actually more worried that Stafford going somewhere else like the Steelers would then allow the Rams to scoop up Darnold, and now the Titans are really left without a quarterback. And now it's the Daniel Jones show. So but again, I don't think Myles Garrett would have any – if Myles Garrett is like, I don't care about going to Canton right now, I want to go win the Super Bowl, why would he come to the Titans?
Yeah.
And so Myles Garrett basically – I don't know if he has a no-trade clause or not, but he has a de facto no-trade clause because he has to find an extension anywhere he goes. So, I mean, it was never an idea that he wanted to come here. And the same can be said with Stafford. Stafford does not want to come here because, again, I haven't talked to him. I could just assume that it's like, yeah, I've got 1 or 2 more years left in me. I'm going to go play for the Titans with PT at right tackle. Don't see it happen.
All right, Stillman, last thing for you here. Your confidence level, how much has it grown from Super Bowl Radio Row this week that Sam Darnold is the next quarterback of the Tennessee Titans?
So
60-40, really 70-30?
I really thought when I landed here in Minneapolis, when I landed here in New Orleans, I really thought that like there was a pretty good chance that he was going to get tagged and you'd have to trade for him if you wanted him. After talking to all the people here, it sounds like Minnesota loves JJ, and Minnesota is happy with where JJ is health-wise. And, I mean, I think it was the Super Bowl when Alex Smith got traded to Washington. And I remember there were a lot of people that were like, I mean, they're going to just turn it over to this unproven Mahomes. Like, who knows if he's any good? And it's like, well, they know if he's good because they're around him and they see him and they whatever. And so if they're ready to turn over to JJ, then there would be no point in keeping Darnold other than to get something for him with the tag. But if you tag him and nobody wants him or nobody's willing to meet your price, then you have to pay him the $40 million. And like Kansas City last year, I think got a little nervous after they signed Chris Jones and they had L'Jarius Sneed tagged that like maybe somebody wasn't going to be stupid enough to trade for him. And of course, thank goodness for Rand Carthon because that, sealed that. But so I think there's a sense that he may go to the market because if Minnesota wants Darnold back, they want him back at their price, and they don't just want him back, and they don't just want to try to trade him. And if he's a straight free agent, I think it's the Titans or the Raiders with a 10% chance of going back to Minnesota on a smaller deal, which I would be shocked by, or the field. So 40% Titans, 40% Raiders, 10% Minnesota, 10% the field.
So who's giving you this information? Is this your heroes Felger and Maz, or just Felger or just Maz?
What?
Which one's smarter? Which one's better, Felger or Maz? Like, who is the one that you really idolize, Felger or Maz?
So what does that have to do with Sam Darnold?
You said you talking to. Didn't you go on their show? Where are you getting this information? I assume that these guys are your primary sources of information.
I mean, I went on their show. That's not the only two people that I've talked to in all of New Orleans.
That's a fair point. Inspector Clouseau.
Stilly,
on the case.
Get you some rest. We'll be listening later today, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Terence Stillman, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. He didn't really have the same energy to go back and forth with you today as he normally does.
I mean, he could barely string a sentence together. When's the last time you heard that of Stilly? But last night he just stayed in his bed.
A 9-minute run.
We'll have more reaction to Stilly coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. I got a 4-pack of wristbands to give away to the National Wild Turkey Federation Sports Show coming up at Opryland Convention Center Thursday, February 13th through Saturday, February 15th. Be caller number 5, 615-737-1025. Caller 5 will win a 4-pack of wristbands to the National Wild Turkey Federation Sports Show, which is awesome. You're going to want to be there. Call it 5, 615-737-1025. A lot of reaction to Stilly on our text line. It's going well.
Yeah. Someone said if he doesn't take I got to read this. Oh, my gosh. Paul says if he doesn't drink Theraflu from now until 2, I'm going to have to do Spotify this afternoon. Stilly, it's a day-long process of rebuilding yourself. I suggest some greasy food.
Yeah.
Maybe a little hair of the dog, a little Bloody Mary. I don't go crazy, but
you can find pretty much any food you want to find down there in New Orleans.
You can. It is the greatest. I would argue that Nashville, Tennessee, is a very strong food city, and I know food. You know that I know food, but New Orleans is number one.
Number 2, Lebanon, Tennessee, number 1.
Lebanon,
a lot. Or Cookeville, Restaurant Road, Cookeville. A lot of good stuff you can find.
Why
there.
do they have like 4 Cracker Barrels?
A lot of Cracker Barrels
next to each other.
Any chain restaurant you want to find, you can find it in Cookeville, Tennessee.
Fair point.
Yep.
Mr. G apologizes because he's the one who mentioned Myles Garrett, so I don't know if that's real or not.
I don't think it is.
If Mr. Titan 5 is going to make up a quote, make up a better quote. Like the Titans freaking suck, like do something like that instead of like, well, I don't. I mean, have fun with it. But congrats, you went viral, and we mentioned you. And Stilly, hungover Stilly had to set us straight. So
he did it.
You're right. But see, the problem is when I do something like that, you are now dragged into the
that's why everybody thinks that this
lack
show
of accountability.
That's why everybody thinks this show doesn't like Creed, doesn't like Scott Stapp, but we do. At least one of us does.
That's an interesting one. If one of us totally feels differently than the other, I guess Nick breaks the tie.
I guess so.
Do you like Creed or not, Nick? He's not even listening, is he?
Does he ever listen to our show?
What's he doing? What is Nick doing, do you think?
Good gracious. We were sitting there talking to him. He never listens to our show.
No comment means I win. We hate Creed.
All right. What did you make of first off, let's tackle a couple quarterback things. So, he's obviously he's more confident in the Sam Darnold thing after being down there. We'll see what happens on that front. The Stafford thing, Kelly Stafford did get on her podcast or somebody's podcast and start talking about how they're not a huge fan of the Cooper Kupp trade. And, hey, if we need to leave, we'll leave. We've left once before already, so it's really not that big a deal anymore. So I'm interested to see what happens between Stafford and the Rams here. But what do you make of, if he is available, how that impacts the entire quarterback market? And I'll ask it this way. Let's say Darnold gets to free agency and Stafford's a free agent, Darnold's a free agent, Cousins is a free agent, Rodgers is a free agent. How do you think that impacts the quarterback and the decision of what these teams are going to do this offseason?
Yeah. Well, first of all, on the Stafford front, like I said on Jared versus Joe, even if he were available, I'd give the Titans 1%. I mean, so again, because I mentioned his name, he lost his mind. Then he, by the way, said the Vikings 0%. Now today it's 10%, which must have been the alcohol content of, the beignets he was eating last night. But
alcohol infused beignets. There you go.
Yeah. Have you ever had those rum balls? Dude,
No,
those are so disgusting. They look like
they look
good. Like the delicious donut holes here at Dunkin', but they're like rum. They are nasty as hell.
I don't know that I'd like that.
So anyway, like Stafford is, it's a pipe dream. The Kelly Stafford thing is really interesting. I mean, you wonder, is he hear the podcast say, "Oh my God, Kelly, what are you doing?" Or is he actually kind of like,
"Yeah, go say whatever you want."
Yeah, see, I can't say it. You get here. Here's the script. Rip them, please.
I don't know.
But I mean, it's pretty clear they're not happy with that. The thing about that's weird too is Kelly, did you notice that Cooper Kupp, barely was able to play this year and isn't nearly as, but so Stafford is, that's a pipe dream. There's no way that the older quarterback looking for the ring, no way. Yeah, the Darnold thing is, I mean, I think 40 is high, but what would you put Darnold to the Titans at?
Well, 40 is high. I mean, look, I think if he makes it to free agency, then the Titans are certainly going to be among the favorites because they're among the teams that need a quarterback.
Right. But
I would still, if you're Darnold, where'd you really go right now? The Titans, or the Raiders, or like the Titans are not going to be high on anybody's wish list, I guess is my point. Now, you can offset that, and Stilly's right, and I think specifically with Darnold, he's not gotten the huge payday yet.
Right.
So the money can be the ultimate equalizer in this. So it's hard to put anybody like super low when it comes to that. If you're willing to pay, then I think you've got a chance. But I just don't think that, you know, the Titans, with everything else being equal, like if the money's all equal, I don't think the Titans are going to be very high on anybody's list.
No, they have to outbid everyone.
Yeah, like the
And
Stafford thing.
They could.
But if they, I guess if they all get to free agency, okay, well, Stafford's going to play somewhere. I said yesterday, Pittsburgh, I would be all in on Stafford if I was them.
Yep.
But Stafford, Darnold, let's say Rodgers keeps playing and it's not in New York. Well, all these quarterbacks hitting the market, I think, is good for the Titans. It's more options that you're going to have, more options that other teams have, and it's going to leave you with maybe some options at quarterback that maybe you didn't think were attainable heading into the offseason.
Yes. Now, another part of Stilly's reasoning, like he dismissed the Giants because Darnold previously had been in New York. Okay, I don't think that's not good reasoning. The Giants would have to be considered a team in this thing too.
I would agree.
For Darnold. The Raiders for sure. Yeah, like with Stafford, like if I'm the Steelers and it was possible, I'm all over that as opposed to Russell Wilson. I don't know how they feel. I think that's a no-brainer.
But who's quarterback in the Rams? That's what I keep going back to. Like, are they going to get in the mix for Sam Darnold?
That's a good point too. I mean, they just absolutely buried him in the playoffs and made him look bad. But I mean, that's not a terrible thought. You know, it's obviously you got the O'Connell connection, so you go back the other way. You know, I mean, to me, if they are moving on from Stafford, I would think it's like to start over because there's maybe somebody in the draft that they really actually love and they have this plan to go get that person.
Yep.
But maybe that's it. Maybe it's like, you know what, Darnold, way younger, he can run this offense at a high level, and I don't know. I still like right now for the next 2-3 years, I would rather Matthew Stafford quarterback my football team than Sam Darnold.
I would agree. No, I would agree. 615-737-1025, our phone number. We'll take your thoughts on the free agent quarterbacks, and we will dive into the Super Bowl matchup coming up next as well. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode. Nick Keyser live at our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Joe Rexrode and myself out here today live at Duncan here in Brentwood. Lots of people rolling in already. We are at 4930 Thoroughbred Lane this morning. We're going to be out here all show long and out here through 10 o'clock as well. Duncan giving away 100 days of free coffee to the first 100 guests in line starting at 8 o'clock. And plus, we'll be out here all show long. The grand opening of the newly remodeled Brentwood location, 4930 Thoroughbred Lane here at Duncan. Super Bowl 59 coming up this weekend, Joe Rexrode. We've talked a lot about the Patrick Mahomes part of this, whether it relates to the officiating in the matchup or his pursuit for Tom Brady to be the greatest quarterback of all time. What about the game itself? What do you make of the matchup? What do you make of this game and what this means if Kansas City wins, what this means if Philadelphia is able to break through and win a Super Bowl championship with Jalen Hurts leading the way at quarterback, Saquon Barkley, the outstanding year that he's had. And look, I think it's pretty clear these are the two best teams, I think, in the NFL. You've got Kansas City that's done what they've done for the last 7 years since Mahomes has taken over. And I think you can make the case, and I think it's a pretty easy case to make, that Philadelphia has got the best roster as a whole in the league. And here we are in the Super Bowl matchup. So what do you make of this matchup, this game, and the stakes for this championship?
Well, I agree on roster. I don't know that I agree clear best two teams. I mean, I think I might still put the Bills up there. You know, if I had to pick a Super Bowl, you don't have to do it. You could do it separate from conferences. I mean, I don't know. I guess at times I want to say the Ravens are better too, but they were so inconsistent this year. You know, right? It's hard to.
Yeah.
But the difference, of course, I think that's one of the big takeaways if the Eagles win. You know, the difference is the Ravens and the Bills have the two guys who were top two for MVP, Josh Allen edging out Lamar Jackson, great quarterbacks, along with Patrick Mahomes. The Eagles win. You're talking about another Super Bowl champion with a whatever you want to call Jalen Hurts. I would call him a very good quarterback. I don't think he's quite a great quarterback. I definitely don't think he's an elite quarterback. And I think if that's the case, you think about the Eagles and that organization and the fact that they just won one. I mean, it seems recent, but it was really a completely different team, you know, with which was quarterbacked by MVP, you know, candidate Carson Wentz, and then Nick Foles takes over and they win that and beat Brady. And then you win it here with Jalen Hurts, who, again, very good quarterback. But I think this would be another endorsement for build the team. I mean, sure, like the Titans, for example. You want to take any of these conversations with the Titans, would they absolutely, you know, go crazy to get a Jalen Hurts at quarterback? Yes. But It's still not – he's a second-round pick. And it's not – it's not the abs, and Jalen Hurts, I don't believe, will be like the top level of quarterback in this league. But they win this and beat the Chiefs and stop the three-peat and beat a team that does not lose close games. Man, that's a heck of a feat, heck of an achievement, and also again, it's another endorsement for, you know, build the team. Yes, everybody wants the quarterback, but build the team. Be sound and solid and everywhere and great everywhere you can be. And you can win championships without having to have Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow.
Yeah, like I think, you know, I would say this. Jalen Hurts, I think, is certainly a better quarterback than Nick Foles was. Now, Nick Foles had a outstanding playoff run for Philadelphia, and we've talked about this. Like that game specifically against New England, maybe the greatest coach game I've ever seen by Doug Peterson. Like it was unbelievable. You know, Jalen Hurts, last time out, these two teams played in the Super Bowl, you can make a pretty strong argument, outplayed Patrick Mahomes. Like he was really good in that game. So we've seen him play at a high level. They just do things a little bit differently. I mean, I still look at that roster, and I come to the same conclusion. Like I just don't see very many weak spots on Philadelphia. Like they've got the receivers. They've got the offensive line. You know, Jalen Hurts is not Patrick Mahomes. But he's a pretty darn good quarterback. They've got Saquon Barkley. Up front on defense, they've got Jalen Carter, who is an absolute game wrecker up front. They've got, you know, great linebacker play that they've got. So there's just a lot to really like about Philadelphia in this matchup. And if I'm picking with my head, honestly, Joe, Like I'm picking Philadelphia. And then I look at it and I say, well, it's Kansas City, and they do nothing but win, and they've won 17 consecutive one-score games, and this is what they do, is win Super Bowls.
Right.
And because of that, like it's really difficult for me to go against Kansas City until I see somebody take them down.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard for me as well because, the big difference with the Eagles this year, other than Barkley, is Vic Fangio, right?
Yep.
Because this is his first year, right?
I believe so. Yep.
I mean, look at that. Think about last year. They go get Byard, and they really had issues. Now, Jalen Carter also stepped up to a different level of dominance this year. Bond was an incredible story. But, I mean, you can't tell me that that's not the difference a great coordinator makes. And I think when you look at the Chiefs, Steve Spagnuolo, I mean, it's a great thing if you are an NFL franchise and you get one of those, like, lifer coordinators who's great, like Dick LeBeau, who's just a great coordinator. You're not going to worry about losing him. And Spagnuolo and what they've done in situations. Again, think about that, the corner switcheroo on the corner blitz and stuff, and the key play against Josh Allen. He still made an incredible throw that should have been caught, but that was like an example of a great defensive coordinator exactly at the right time, making the exact right call. And it's a great matchup of, again, it's not, the D coordinators aren't matching up, but you know what I mean? Like two great coordinators on that side of the ball. The Chiefs just find a way, I think, with stuff like that. And obviously with Mahomes, it's just hard for me to believe that the Eagles are going to beat them, even though I hear you. I mean, I think the Eagles have the edge in a lot of places. And I do think that the Eagles D front, you mentioned in Jalen Carter, if you can really get after Mahomes with interior pass rush, it's not unlike Brady. Now, Mahomes is more mobile, but, Brady, some of the worst performances by Brady were those games where the other team was just coming at him from the inside. And I do think that the Eagles can blow up some of what Kansas City wants to do. I mean, Kansas City's offense has been pedestrian a lot of the year.
This game has got a chance to be pretty low scoring. Now, I say that, and it'll end up being 41-38 one way or the other. But like, with the way that both defenses have played for the majority of this season, like I think it's got a chance to be a little bit of a grinder out there. Like I know that both teams have playmakers offensively, but Philadelphia's had the best defense in the league all year. And we know, like Kansas City, as much as Mahomes is great, and they've got, he always comes through and makes the play that they need him to make. Like the last 2 years, and Borgonzi's talked about this in some of his interviews, they've become a defensive team. Like they've relied on their defense. So I think this one has a chance to be a little bit of a grind in this one on Super Bowl Sunday.
I could see that. And then I could also see, you throw a couple fades up to A.J. Brown and Xavier Worthy gets loose on a bubble. I definitely follow that. I think it'll probably end up somewhere in the, I don't know. It's
mid-20s.
Yeah, like 24-21, right? Something like that, which is fine. It should make everybody happy. If you like offense, it's enough offense. If you like defense, even though the NFL seems to not like defense, then you'll get some stops. Another thing about this game, someone like Trevor says, will there be a controversial call helping the Chiefs? I'd be willing to bet right now that the Eagles are going to get like 5 ridiculous calls that are like 50-50. They go, like, I've never seen refs worked. This reminds me of like Pat Riley and the Lakers in the late 80s when they would cry about Bill Laimbeer and in between every game of the series in the finals when they got swept. They're like, make more Bill Laimbeer. It's just like just working the refs through the media. This is a different level. Like the entire world is working the refs in favor of the Eagles. I'll be shocked. Seriously. If there's a prop, and there probably isn't, but if there were a prop on like 50-50 calls going which team's way, put everything on the Eagles. I'm telling you, they're going to get some ridiculous calls Sunday because of all this crap.
It always comes back to the bad boys Pistons with you. That's what I've noticed.
They cried so much. Got swept. Have some.
Got swept.
Jordan,
that was record against the
1-3.
Okay.
Yeah, he was 1-3 in the playoff series against the Pistons. Yeah.
Just check and see if you knew that stat.
Yeah, and I got that stat ready if you need it.
615-737-1025, our phone number. The Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode is coming up next. TD will be with us at 8 o'clock. We'll get into all things Tennessee Titans, get his thoughts on the Super Bowl as well. All that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
And we're out here on the patio, baby. You'll see us right before you get in the building. Joe Rexrode, how are we doing? What's going on?
Good. Cold AF, but good. How about you?
Outdoor show in February. They use Madden ratings as well. He said, quote, for instance, Madden ratings. Who would have ever thought an NFL team would use Madden ratings in one of their models? Well, we do. It is that time of the day, time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. Real quickly, before we get to the Rex Rant, however, let's head to our 1025 The Game phone line. Welcome in Tim to the program. Tim, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
Morning, guys. Enjoying the show. And real quick, with Callahan being the coach, how's that going to affect us in free agency? Is that going to hurt us or help? The other thing is, with this being the year that we get the number one draft pick, there's not really a true number one pick like other years. You could talk to 10 teams and maybe get 7 different people they would want.
Yep. Thanks for the call, Tim. On the second front, I don't know if it's 7, but I do think there's at least 4, right? So
Does that work? Am I on?
You're
Am I
on.
on?
Yeah.
4. Yeah.
I think 4 is probably the number. So
Yeah. If there was a 5th name beyond those 4, it'd be a surprise. But still, it's 4.
yeah, but which is, some years it's 1.
Yeah.
So it is different that way. As far as the Callahan part of this, I don't know that it's going to have a huge effect either way, right? Brian Callahan is not Mike Tomlin. He's not some of these upper echelon coaches in the league. And do I think that helps sometimes when you have one of those coaches to draw in free agents? Yes, I do. I also don't think that I don't think Sam Darnold's going to look here and say, well, Brian Callahan's there, I'm not going there. It would be, now I could see him saying the Titans are awful and I'm not going there. But I think if the money is competitive and the money in some cases is more than some other spots, I don't think the players are not going to come here because Brian Callahan's the coach.
Yeah, I do think with a quarterback, especially like the play calling coach, right? I think there's got to be some level of, if you're Darnold, Kevin O'Connell meant a lot to you, right?
Yeah.
So do you think Callahan's good? Do you think that he is a good play caller, has a good system, is good with quarterbacks, things like that? Right now you could go through his history and like that.
Sure.
But also 1 year, you could not like how things went, including at the quarterback position last year. I don't remember what my rant was. I'm so cold right now. Do you see me on camera? I'm rocking back and forth.
Well,
it's
you
almost
spilled
worse
your
when
coffee on you earlier, and I thought you did it on purpose. I was like, Joe has resorted to spilling hot coffee on himself on purpose.
Holy crap, you're right. What if I just did this right now?
Don't yourself.
It's almost worse.
No pun intended.
It's almost nice
Thanks.
job. Nice wordplay. It's almost worse when you go inside because it's so nice and toasty in there. And it feels so good. Because last segment I was numb. My legs were numb. And actually when you get numb, it's kind of better, right? My hands are numb right now. But then you go inside and you thaw it a little bit and then it hurts again. That's my rant. C from Franklin wants us to yell at Chase.
I might do that.
C from Franklin says Chase needs to be reprimanded. Yeah, we can't reprimand him. But you know what? The listeners can, right?
Yeah.
Really the listeners are the boss, right? So C from Franklin says it. Well, then, the customer is always right.
Yep. Jeff from Mount Juliet saying, I think we've seen Darnold's ceiling. I'm not sure why so many are enamored with him.
Yeah.
Am I enamored with Sam Darnold? No. Could Sam Darnold – I think the question you have to ask yourself, can Sam Darnold give you good quarterback play over the next 2 to 3 years? And I'm not talking great. I'm not talking elite. I think if you think you're going to win a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold, you're probably mistaken. Now, having said that, the Tennessee Titans right now are a long way from a Super Bowl. I think we all know that. So I think the question, if you're a Titans fan, if you're a Titans member of the front office, to ask yourself is, can Sam Darnold give you good quarterback play? Can he solidify that spot over the next 2 to 3 years? Anything beyond that, I think, is probably unrealistic from Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold right at this moment after this season, which again was tremendous for 16 games, was bad for 2. The 2 most important.
Yep.
But 16 versus 2. Sam Darnold after that, or Ryan Tannehill coming here for a 4th-round pick. Where was the excitement level on relative to each other from Titans fans? That was a sentence that made no sense, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Compare the excitement level of those two situations. I would argue that Darnold, Titans fan wise, media wise, league wide, would be a more exciting development than the Tannehill thing at the time, which was, they got a pretty good backup finally.
Yeah, like
look what happened with Tannehill. Like
like there was no excitement when Tannehill came. The excitement when Tannehill came here was, oh, good, they finally like significantly improved their backup quarterback spot, right? Like we all knew that was the year for Marcus to figure out if he's going to be the quarterback or not. But like we can play revisionist history if you want to. There was almost nobody that said, well, good, Ryan Tannehill could be the long-term option at quarterback when they made that trade. It was good. They've got a backup quarterback that you feel pretty good about. That was the conversation around Ryan Tannehill until training camp when people were talking about him taking his job.
Now, I will say there is a difference. The thing about that is again, as we've talked about, Tannehill's history in Miami is better than some people want to remember.
Agreed.
I think he had like 4,000 yard seasons, at that point. So he was a much more accomplished player than Darnold has been in the league. But I'm just saying, it's you just don't know. I think what he did this year is good enough to think that, he could be good. And if you have a good quarterback and you somehow figure out a way to have a great team, and this is a team that's far, far away from that, but if you find a way to do that, it's amazing what you can do in winning football games.
Somebody's asking us what that noise is in the background. It's somebody shaking martinis. I think it's a wheel spinning over there. So
it is a wheel.
There's a lot of pride. It's a happening place out here at Duncan, 4930 Thoroughbred Lane. Come on out.
I see it. Yeah, there's a crowd around that.
There's a wheel.
I want to get in on that. Is there a winter hat on that wheel?
Yeah. Jared Stillman texts me and says, we've seen his ceiling, and I'm not enamored. He won 14 games and threw for 4,300 yards. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you feel like
Jared just texted you this,
he did. Probably need to go back to sleep. He just if you're the Titans and you feel like the 14 games, 15 games of evidence that you saw from Darnold last year, as Joe spills his coffee again, is more of what he is, well, then I think it's an easy decision. How much does the last 2 games affect your judgment? How much does it affect everybody else's judgment around the league? And is it enough to prevent you from saying, I don't think he can be a good quarterback? Like, it's hard for me to walk away from his season and not think he can at least be a good quarterback. I'm not looking for him to be a Super Bowl champion. And look, if you're looking for that this offseason, you're probably not finding it. Like, if you think you're finding, like, through the veteran market, your long-term answer to win a championship, you're probably not going to find that this offseason. That would have to come through the draft, and then that depends entirely on how you view those 2 quarterbacks we've talked a lot about.
Right. Look, Darnold, what it tells me, the end of the year tells me I'd be a little worried about Darnold in a huge, huge game. You know how far the Titans are from playing in a huge game?
Pretty significant distance.
So, again, can you get that? Can you get good quarterback play? I mean, someone out here was saying he's Brock Osweiler. I'm like, wow. That is that's cold. That's colder than my legs right now.
615-737-1025. Rexrode spilled his coffee twice so far in the show. So over-under set for 4.5 at the end of the show.
I think it is like it's a subconscious thing that my body's telling me, please pour hot coffee on yourself.
What the hell is wrong with people?
Jason Gillisville says, if Joe can make 3 hours and 40 degrees, we should be awarded with a new afternoon host. There we go. Stilly, I'm taking your show over if I don't die before this one ends.
He's doing it live outside today.
It's kind of ugly, though.
We'll have Terence Davenport with us coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on the Titans, get his thoughts on the Super Bowl matchup as well. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. It is that time of the week. We head to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome in Terence Davenport, ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter, host of Talking with TD. TD, good morning. How are you?
See, this is what happens when you have an awesome producer. Shout out to Nick K for making this happen, allowing me to further celebrate my Mets, bringing the polar bear back.
Oh, yeah.
I tell you what, I'm going to be screaming down whatever road that is to get to Atlanta and watch the Mets when they come there. And I'm going to scream over to Donaldson Pike and get on the plane and watch my Mets over there at Citi Field too, man. I can't wait.
Hey, going to be a big year for the Mets.
I still like the Jizza intro better, but that is pretty cool.
Yeah, well, you know, we couldn't lose that. We still had that coming in, you know, and that's, again, great job by Nick to make that happen. Blend two songs, totally different ones.
I think what we're really doing here is kind of expanding our portfolio. By the time we're done, TD is going to have just an incredible amount of a library to choose from when he comes here. So it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, look, Freddie Mercury coming up next, man.
That's right. That's right. So, TD, let's start on the Super Bowl. What do you make of the matchup? Like, you know, logically, you know, it's gotten to the point with Kansas City where it's pretty difficult to pick against them because all they do is win. And yet I look at that Philadelphia roster, and I think it's loaded from top to bottom, maybe the best roster in the league. So how do you view the matchup, and what do you think happens on Sunday?
Well, you know, the thing I love the most about this, and no one's really talking about it, is the fact that Kansas City, they haven't given up a 100-yard rusher in, 14, 15 playoff games. And we know Saquon Barkley is just – he's another one of those guys we're borrowing from another planet, and he's just visiting. And it's great to watch this. And I love the fact that a running back is fueling a team to what could possibly be a Super Bowl championship. So you have that. I love the dual threat ability that, you know, Jalen Hurts brings, and then – you watch how Spagnuolo and the blitzes, you know, that corner blitz that he does at random times in the game, especially late. It's going to be cool seeing how Jalen Hurts is going to react to that. And then we know they're going to want to stop the run, so you stack the box. And, you know, that guy A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, those guys on the outside, there's so many matchups. And, you know, you flip it around, and you got the rookies going at it, right? Xavier Worthy and Quinyon Mitchell. You know, and then you look at Brandon Graham coming back, man. Like, I'm so excited to see BG back in the mix. He's going to play in this game, so there's a lot of things to be excited about.
So, TD, if Mahomes gets a third straight, where do you come down on the GOAT conversation?
Yeah, I mean, he has to be mentioned. He did something that no quarterback has ever done before, so you got to have him up there. Frankly, in my opinion, I think he should be up there now, regardless. So, yeah.
Up there over Brady? Would you put him over Brady right now?
No, I can't do that, man.
Okay.
Okay,
so up there not being number one, but just
Joe doesn't have Brady in his top 10, so you got to keep that in mind.
Brady's in my top 10. He's right after number 9, Dan Fouts. But, no, he's up there. He's up there.
Dan Fouts was a bad mojo right there, man.
See? Yes. See? The real ones know.
That's right. That's right. So, TD, it's an interesting potential veteran quarterback market. We've talked a lot with you about some of those guys, but now there's some uncertainty with Stafford in LA, and we'll see what happens with Darnold. On the Stafford front, like, I don't think Stafford's coming here. Like, I don't know why Matt Stafford would choose to play here. But what it would do is, you know, if he's not going to be in LA, he'll be somewhere else, and that does affect the rest of the quarterback market. So what do you make of the idea of Stafford potentially being available, Darnold potentially getting to free agency, and how that affects the quarterback market and what the Titans could decide to do?
Yeah, well, I mean, if there was one veteran quarterback I would put above all else that are kind of in the mix, it would be Matthew Stafford, you know, to go to the Titans. Obviously, the ties to Brian Callahan, but I really think that whole thing is just a money grab. I think he's just trying to, you know, increase that offer, not offer, but that contract he has. So I doubt he goes anywhere, but you're right. If he does, that does affect the carousel, because then, you know, what happens if the Rams grab Sam Darnold? And that's not to say, like, I think Darnold should come to the Titans or they should go get him, although he and Aaron Rodgers are two that I think are very strongly in the mix if they go veteran route. So we'll see what happens. I mean, you know, every year there's always something that somebody shakes free and you didn't expect it, and there you are in the quarterback market. You know, Stillman, he brought up Daniel Jones. I would say no to that, but I mean, that's another veteran that could kind of come in the mix. You got Jimmy Garoppolo. Again, I say no to that, but I mean, there's different ones. Now, I do think that Jimmy Garoppolo could be the guy that would be similar to the Alex Smith in Kansas City situation, where like, he would get the understand the assignment, right, and help develop if they were to draft a quarterback early and sign him as a bridge. I could see him being the personality that would be able to do it, but this roster, they're not in a position to sign a veteran quarterback and draft one at the same time. They have so many more needs.
Yeah, it's funny because you bring up Jimmy G, and I mean we never talk about Jimmy G, but I mean that's definitely, I mean it's a better name than a lot that we do talk about. But TD, on the Darnold front, and Stilly, who hopefully has about 80 Excedrins flowing through his bloodstream right now, he's got it down to like it's the Titans or the Raiders are going to have Sam Darnold next year. I can't rule out, even if the Vikings don't tag him, that there will be a reunion there. I also would not rule out the Giants. But how do you view like what the market would be for him? Let's say if the Vikings don't tag him, like who do you think would be after him? And would it come down to with the Titans just as simple as if you give him the best deal, then you'll get him?
Yeah, I think the Titans, they would have to give him a good deal, but also I think he would jump at the opportunity. Excuse me, I got this cough, man.
No, you're good.
I think he would jump at the opportunity, and I think, when I say the opportunity, it would be to come in and be the guy, right, and kind of be the guy going forward. Because I think if they sign Darnold, I don't think that's a bridge situation. I think they're signing him to be their quarterback. So that would be good. Obviously, for him, I don't know about for the Titans. But, the Raiders are a team you have to think about. The Giants, I think, would be in the mix. Now, if you're the Giants, you have to really wonder, okay, he struggled in this city before. Is he going to be able to come here and be successful this go-around? I don't know. So there's a lot to consider. I think those are our teams right away that you look at, and we'll see what happens. But, I would say probably 4 or 5 different options.
TD, great stuff, man. Really appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. Enjoy the Super Bowl this weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
So, wait, did you make a pick?
Yeah.
Who's winning?
Oh yeah, I'm going Eagles, man. And it's kind of sentimental to me. You know what I mean? I lost my mom in November, and she was an Eagles fan, like to the core. So I want them to, go ahead and commemorate her by winning. But also, I mean, if I had to pick a team that I root for the most, it would be the Eagles. So go Birds, I guess you could say.
There you go.
Nice.
I love it. TD, have a great weekend, man.
All right, for sure. You guys too.
Terence Davenport joins us every Friday morning at 8 o'clock here on the program. We'll react to what TD has to say on the Super Bowl, on the Titans, the quarterback front. A lot more thoughts on Sam Darnold. Rexrode is receiving some just noise on the text line, on the comment section right now about him being bundled up and being from Michigan. We'll get into all that as well. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keyser here with you on this Friday morning. Appreciate TD for being with us in the last segment. We were taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We are live at 4930 Thoroughbred Lane at Duncan, the grand opening of the newly remodeled Duncan, 4930 Thoroughbred Lane here in Brentwood. We're going to be out here the rest of the show, be out here for the first hour of Chasing Big Joe as well. Duncan giving away 100 days of free coffee to the first 100 guests starting at 8 o'clock. So get out here. Lots of people rolling in and getting some Dunkin' coffee, drive-thrus flowing. A lot of things going on out here. So make sure you come by, say hi. Appreciate TD for being with us in the last segment. A lot of thoughts on our text line right now, on Twitter, on YouTube, everywhere.
I just wish I had the camera view of Joe drumming there. Golly.
Yeah.
I'm basically the Neil Peart of air drumming.
Yeah. Yeah, you are.
Thank you.
Joe is dressed up very warmly now all of a sudden.
The air drumming helped. Like,
Yeah,
I thought blood flowing a little
I guess
bit.
it did, but it's
I appreciate it.
yeah, it's good stuff. David from Watertown saying, wasn't everybody on the station giving Jarvis Brownlee a hard time for being cold in the same temps? Here we are. We all
Chase,
owe an apology to Jarvis.
Chase, I'm sorry. I'm sorry this show sucked, okay? It just was too cold. It was too cold to do a good show. I apologize. We were all talking about it. Everybody was talking about it on the sideline.
I forgot about that. That was awesome.
Yeah,
One of the great moments of the Titan season.
NFL players have like seat warmers and
I just want to point out, you know, we're not losing. We're doing our job right now. They lost. They got hammered by Washington in that game.
Are we winning right now? Is that? Would you say we're winning?
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Don't know. Taking your thoughts. 615-737-1025. Mitch Light on Twitter is all over you. So somebody's gotten soft since he moved south in the Mason-Dixon line. Bob on Twitter said, let's go Rexrode. It's not Alaska out here. You know, I think I've acclimated at this point. I think we're good.
You're just numbed up.
Yeah.
The problem is that I've had to go inside to get refills and also to go to the bathroom. And so it's like little morsels of warmth that, you know, it spoils you. But yeah, I have gotten soft since. That's why do you think I moved away from Michigan? To get the hell away from that crap.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, you know, if it was 10 years ago and I still lived there, I'd probably be fine right now. But I'm not fine, Robby. I'm not fine.
I've looked at it
trembling.
a couple of times throughout the show today. You know, I'm going to be in Orlando next week, and I'm looking at it, and it's Monday, 83, Tuesday, 85, Wednesday, 88. I'm like, all righty, just get me there, baby. It'll be good.
88?
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to it.
February. That is beautiful.
Looking forward to it. Forward to it. What did you make of TD's takes on the quarterbacks there? A lot of thoughts on the text line on Darnold. A lot of people not very high on the Darnold part of this on our text line right now.
Yeah, and I understand, you know, we've gone through it, but I understand all the things that people have brought up. There's been a lot of texts bringing up different things, throwing to Jefferson and Addison, and by the way, Hawkinson, pretty good too, and Kevin O'Connell. And I get it, playing for a good team, that's not going to be the case here. I understand that. I still absolutely, my mind was changed a pretty fair amount by Sam Darnold's performance this year. You still have to make the plays he made, and he showed me something. Absolutely. Like, this is not just go out there and, you know, arm punt it to these amazing players. I mean, this is, you know, this was a very good quarterback performance this year. I mean, you watched him. You watched him play your Packers twice closely.
Yeah, he played very well.
But beyond that, I mean, he made plays. He escaped rush. He went through his reads quick. He's ripping the ball. Sam Darnold, my mind was changing. And by the way, I do want to give a little credit to our painfully hungover little friend in New Orleans right now for that, for his call. Good call, brother. Hope you're feeling better.
Let's head back to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Larry to the program. Larry, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, guys, I didn't know I need to bring some overalls or something to keep you boys warm out there, but I just want to make a couple of comments first. My first comment is, whoever told that remote, you guys, you have to endure a dodgeball firing squad by YouTube, because that's a little bit ridiculous to tell an outside remote in February. I mean, come on now.
Hey, we're tough. It's what we do.
Second comment, you know, a lot of talk about the Titans and quarterbacks and everything. Do they have people already looking at next year's quarterback class saying, hey, these guys may be a little bit better? I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate the call. So do they have people looking ahead at the 2026 quarterback class? I'm sure, Joe, that has happened before. Like, I have no doubt. Like, we knew about Andrew Luck, right, for a while. Caleb Williams, you could throw in there. Trevor Lawrence, you could throw in there. There are guys that have been drafted number one overall at quarterback over the last decade, 15 years, that you've known even before their final year in college were going to be the number one overall pick. How much do teams pay attention to the quarterback class the next year? I don't know. I do know it's some. We've talked about that before with Charles Robinson. I don't know how much it's consuming the everyday thought. I mean, the problem with all that is you can look ahead at it, but you just don't know where you're going to finish. So you can have an idea of what the quarterback class in general looks like. But if you're aiming for a specific one, unless you know you're just going to be absolute buns the next year, it's hard to plan for that.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, some years, everyone knows, even if you don't know your situation, everybody knows who's going to be. Anybody who pretends to right now is full of it. Arch Manning could be a Heisman candidate next year, and he might be not a top 20 college football quarterback. I have zero clue. I know what his last name is. I know he can run. I know that he had a decent game. One of his games this year was pretty good against a bad team. I mean,
he did a really nice interview last week with your boy Marty Smith too. It worked out. Did well.
Do you know Coach Harbaugh? Because I do. No, he's we'll see. There's just no one.
Tell
obvious.
us about your last name, Arch. What do people not know about that last name?
Man, Marty Smith has got one of the greatest accents of all time. We have McGee on it. We should try to get Marty on sometime.
Sure, he'd love your impression of him. I think it'd go well.
Yeah, I bet he would. Coach Harbaugh came out of the bathroom and I said, Coach, I would be honored to pour some liquid soap into your hand. So,
by the way, have you ever experienced that? Have we talked about this on the show before? Of like the people that are in the bathrooms nowadays, like that are just there to pour soap on your hand and then expect tips. Like,
yeah.
Hey, can you let me just get the soap, please? Thank you.
That's why I don't go to the club anymore. Stilly probably has like about 5 stamp tattoos still on his hand, and he probably had to pay a bunch of tips at the bathroom attendants last night in New Orleans.
Probably so.
Nate says, come on, Joe. Remember, you're the only one to play intramural QB while smoking a Pall Mall cigarette. Well, first of all, that year the game was in late September or early October. It was fine. Also, it was a Camel Light. Other than that, you're right.
The legend lives on.
Look, I smoke weed constantly.
I understand people not being overly excited about Sam Darnold, but I think that's kind of the general point of this quarterback class. You're probably not going to be overly excited about anything, right? I mean, that's kind of what it's boiled down to here. Now, I say that if they draft a Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders number one overall, the excitement will come. Whether or not those picks are justified, I have no idea, and it'll be some time before we figure out whether or not they are. But there will be talk, there will be hype. You know, I talked about myself going down the Cam Ward rabbit hole a couple weeks ago on YouTube and being like, I almost talked myself into the Titans drafted him with you watching some of the way that he's played. So we know how that all works. I'm just saying, of the veteran options out there, you could do a lot worse than Sam Darnold this offseason for the Titans.
Yeah, and the only way you can do better is Matthew Stafford, and unless, I don't know, maybe Kelly Stafford calls the shots and also loves country music, but but that's probably not going to happen. So it's to me, it's the best one.
No state income tax.
No, there is that. Cousins. I just can't. It's hard to trust the health at this point. Rodgers, absolute bleep show. Get your magic mushrooms out of the locker room. Jimmy G. It is funny how we never talk about Jimmy G. Jimmy G is. He'd be an okay bridge guy.
I don't know that I have a whole lot of interest in that.
You're a Jimmy G hater.
Jimmy G's not very good.
Well, he's not very – no, but is Jimmy G – I could make a case for Jimmy G over Cousins right now, just the way Cousins played last half. And again, I'm a Cousins slappy.
I know.
But, look, you come off the Achilles, you're a certain age, and it just didn't look good, And thrown in there with Carr. Carr, I guess I'd take Carr over Jimmy G.
Yeah, I would definitely take Carr over Jimmy G.
I don't know. Jimmy G's kind of out of sight, out of mind. It's funny because, again, he was So close.
He's one throw
to
away from
beating
winning the Super Bowl.
Mahomes in the Super Bowl. And yes, it was one throw he missed, but he did make some throws in that game too, by the way, which is why they were in position to beat them.
Coming up next, the final edition for this football season of the year for Pigskin Pick'em. Rexrode and Keyser. It's coming down to the wire in the competition. And the bottom line is I'm buying lunch for whoever wins. So I'm just basically observing this weekend to see who I'm buying lunch for. We'll get to the final edition of Pigskin Pick'em coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. It is time for the final edition of the season of Pigskin Pick'em. The Super Bowl coming up this weekend between Kansas City and Philadelphia. We got a lot of things to get to on that front. Joe, kick us off with a standings update of where we stand today heading into the final week of the competition.
Yeah, it looked like I might catch Nick, and then the Chiefs-Bills game happened. So, Nick, 73-59, 16-6 on his locks, 89 points. I am at 75-57. Great. 11-11 locks, not great. 86 points, 3 points behind. Robby, 69-63, 7-15 on the locks, 76 points. You're buying food for one of us.
I'm done.
So today the strategy to me, whenever Nick goes before me, I'll probably just do whatever he doesn't do because if I tie him, I will win because I have a better overall record.
There we go. With that in mind, let's get rolling. We'll start with Chiefs and Eagles and the spread. Kansas City is a 1.5-point favorite in this matchup. Nick Keiser, we begin with you. Who you got in Super Bowl 59?
I don't want it to happen. I'm going to clarify that. But I do think we see the first ever three-peat, so give me Kansas City. I would like to see the Eagles win and ruin everything for them, but I just think Kansas City gets it done.
Going with Kansas City in the matchup. Joe Rexrode, Kansas City, favored by 1.5.
Well, then I'll go Eagles. That's my analysis. I'm trying to win a competition. I mean, it's a toss-up, but I believe the Chiefs will win. But you know what? Here's my prediction. Chiefs, 24, Eagles, 23, Chiefs minus 1.5, I win.
There you go. I like that. I will go with Kansas City, and really it's for this reason. It's very difficult for me to pick against Kansas City in the Super Bowl right now. They've won 17 consecutive one-score games. This is now their third Super Bowl in a row that they've got the opportunity to win. I think they pull it off. I think they win, and they pull off the three-peat. We head to the over-under in this matchup. Joe Rexrode, we begin with you. The over-under is 48.5 between Kansas City and Philadelphia.
Well, I guess if I'm going to go with my score prediction, I'll carry that through, so I will take the under on this.
Going under. I am also going under. I think it's got a chance, I said earlier in the show, to be a grind in this matchup, so I will go under the 48.5. Nick Keiser, over-under 48.5.
Yeah, I hate to join the party, but that's how I feel as well. So
give me
the no. I mean, hey, let's let the other parts of this play out, and we'll see how close it really is.
Keiser taking the easy way out. All right, Saquon Barkley. Will he rush for 100 yards or more in this game? Over, under 100 yards. I'm going to start on this one. I say over. I think he breaks through, and that number that TD threw out there of, 15 consecutive playoff games that Kansas City's not allowed a 100-yard rusher?
Yep.
I think that ends. I think Saquon Barkley hits the over.
So just to be clear,
this is our very own over.
We're asking 100 or not, so you're saying yes.
Yes, he's doing
100 counts.
Yes.
100 wins. Yes, okay.
That's what I'm saying. Nick Keiser, you are up next. Will Saquon Barkley reach 100 yards?
I agree. I think he will. He's been on a tear this postseason. It's been really fun to watch him, and looking forward to seeing him break past the Chiefs line.
This is not just to try to help myself win. I actually think the Chiefs are going to keep him under. I don't think they're going to let him have one of those long runs. I think they're going to be all over him. I think he'll have about 85 yards. Give me the no.
Going with no on the will Saquon Barkley rush for 100 yards in this game. All right. Each individual person, and we'll begin with Nick Keiser in this. You name an anytime touchdown scorer in the Super Bowl, it cannot be Barkley. Barkley is a heavy favorite to score a touchdown. You cannot name Saquon Barkley. Nick Keiser, your anytime touchdown scorer in the Super Bowl.
So I'm gonna do something Titans fans are gonna love to hear, but give me A.J. Brown for my anytime touchdown. And I'm locking down on it. I think it's gonna happen.
He is locking down on A.J. Brown. Joe Rexrode, your anytime touchdown scorer in the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, locks. Man, I forgot to do a lock. I may have to apply a lock. Can I retroactively apply my lock?
No.
I can't? Okay. Oh, hardliner over here. I'm glad Nick's listening to the show. Okay.
Nice change of pace.
Always, baby.
We were trying to talk to you earlier. You ignored us. Let's see. Anytime. This is a tough one. Is Kelsey going to get one? Are they going to get Kelsey a touchdown in this game? You know what? I'm going to go with – this is hard.
Come on, Boomer.
Patrick Mahomes.
Going with Patrick Mahomes. Rushing touchdown.
No. I'm sorry. Jalen Hurts. I meant Hurts.
Nope, it's locked in.
It's not locked in. It's Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. Come on.
On Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdown in this game. You know what? I'll take Patrick Mahomes. Give me
There you
Patrick
go.
Mahomes, a rushing touchdown in this one. You know,
What the hell
he'll
is
do that.
wrong with people?
He'll do that tiptoe along the sideline. Philadelphia will be afraid to come anywhere near him. He'll score a touchdown. That'll be what happens. We move to the passing yards. Patrick Mahomes, over or under 250.5. Joe Rexrode.
I'm going to go under and make that my lock. I do think I think this will be, and that him being just under against the Bills really messed me up in this competition. I'd be like within one right now, but I think this will be. I think the defenses will have a lot of success, and I think he'll be just under that.
I will go under as well. Nick Keiser, over under 250.5 for Patrick Mahomes passing.
I think Mahomes is going over that in this Super Bowl.
Ooh, going over 250.5. All right, passing yards for Jalen Hurts. The over-under set on FanDuel Sportsbook at 211.5. I'm up first in this one. Give me the over. I think he throws for 214 yards, so I'll take over 211.5. Nick Keiser, over under. Jalen Hurts, 211.5.
I already said Saquon's going to have a big game. He's going to go over 100 yards. So give me the under.
Joe Rexrode, over under 211.5 for Jalen Hurts.
So I already have enough things that are different than Nick to potentially beat him. But you know what? I think he is going over that. Give me the over.
Going over 211.5 in that one. So that is the final edition of Pigskin Pick'em for this year.
You got a chance here.
I didn't pick my lock, but it doesn't really matter what I do.
Nah, just do your lock.
I'll go over for Jalen Hurts, my lock.
Okay. We want to see if you're 500.
It's a sad feeling to be in this competition last week of the year and have no chance to win. I felt too much of that this year, watching the Titans play, watching the Predators play. And now here I am joining those people.
It'll be a good feeling when you're on the teacups and you don't even care. You know what I mean?
Yes, it will be a good feeling.
And it's 85 degrees.
Yeah, 85, 88, whatever it's going to
80, double of what it is now.
Oh, man. I look, we've had people on the text line all day pulling for Philadelphia. The Chiefs fatigue is real. I think it's one thing we've discovered this week. I am really interested to see if and when there's a controversial call in this game that goes down. Does it break the way that you've said? Has this been some gigantic work into the officials and it ends up going in favor of Philadelphia? Is that our talking point on Monday?
Now again, it depends if they win or lose. But if that's it's absolutely going to go like I said. The refs are going to make at least two calls in favor of the Eagles that are like insanely wrong. And so if the Chiefs win, it'll be great because the Chiefs fans will then be talking about the conspiracy. Actually, it was all a conspiracy to get them here, but then to make them lose so that Tom Brady could never be surpassed by Patrick Mahomes. You see how it works? Brady's actually controlling everything, the puppet master in the booth up there, giving us analysis of how he used to love to go to Super Bowl parades.
Well, that's why they're paying him the big bucks. How many times do you think?
And that shiny Botox-filled face.
We probably should have put it over under. You got Travis Kelce in this game. Be a lot of mention of Travis Kelce. How much will Gronk be brought up in this game with Brady on the call?
Oh, Gronk and I used to yeah, good point.
Mahomes and Kelce reminds me of me and Gronk back in the day.
Oh, my gosh.
I think there's a real opportunity here for Gronk to really get some FaceTime on this thing.
Yeah, you could do a drinking game with some of the stuff. Like Gronk would definitely be up there. Hopefully by Sunday, Stilly would be able to play. They need a couple more days of repair.
615-737-1025, our phone number. Final segment of the day coming up next. Got a lot of your thoughts to get to on the text line. We'll wrap up the show that way. Jason Big Joe coming up after that. By the way, you can hear from us for the first hour of Chase and Big Joe as well throughout the program. So make sure you tune in for that.
Chase is going to make me roll around on the cold pavement during that hour.
This is Robby and Rexrode. 102.5, 106.3 the game. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, brought to you by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get-it-all. It's time for Preds Pick to Click. Be the first caller at 615-737-1025. If you call, you guess the goal scorer for the Predators tonight. You win a pair of tickets to a future Nashville Predators home game. Be the first caller, 615-737-1025. We will do that momentarily. By the way, Stillman & Company, broadcasting live and providing updates from Radio Row today, 2 to 6 in front of the big game. Coverage presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, Family Leisure, Shane Company, Volunteer Hose and Gasket, 312 Pizza, and the new Cumberland.com. People continue to weigh in on Rexrode to tire throughout the program. And as Joel has pointed out on the text line, or excuse me, Joey pointed this out on the text line, he works for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Okay.
Has install days. It's 5 degrees, a bottle of Diet Coke freezing in the tool bag. You'll be all right. That's what he says.
Okay.
You're going to be fine.
That makes me feel better. Everybody take it easy on Stilly today, by the way. Just be gentle with Stilly today, okay? He's had a rough go.
What are you talking about? He said that he was in bed last night, that he didn't go anywhere, and he was fine.
Yeah, he was in bed with a bottle of something. He was like,
that's a lot of bourbon out there. What's going on?
Wow. And my pillow is just soaked in bourbon. Breathe that in for a few hours. Speaking of bourbon, a lot of people are suggesting that on the text line. Bring some over. Chase has got us in the next hour rolling around the pavement. He's going to make us hold popsicles while we're down there.
Let's head back to our 102.5 The Game phone line. Participate in today's edition of Preds Pick to Click. Welcome in Logan to the program. Logan, good morning. Thanks for calling in. Who is your pick to click today for the Nashville Predators?
Hey, guys. I'm going to go with Philip Forsberg. Sorry, he hung up, so I had to do something.
Wow.
Log off.
You have quite a range of impersonations there.
Yeah, that really went well.
A nasally you.
So Forsberg, the selection from Logan. By the way, I should probably do the standings as we just rip the Band-Aid off this terrible last segment of a program. Rexrode in first place with 11 correct answers. Listeners moved up to second last game out with 8. I'm still at 7. Keezer's at 4. So that's where the standings are. I'm up first today in the competition. Forsberg is off the board. You know what? I'm going to do it. Give me the kid. Joachim Kimmel tonight.
Oh, look at that.
He's making his debut.
Look at that.
I think he's going to play with Novak and Svechkov, but we'll see. Give me Kimmel in the game tonight. Forsberg, Kimmel off the board. Keezer, your pick to click.
Give me the captain, Roman Josi.
Going with Roman Josi. Forsberg, Kimmel, Josi off the board. Joe Rexrode, your pick to click for the Predators.
Well, I like the Kimmel pick. The Preds, I like, finding a way to make a game interesting in the rest of the season. It's got a tough chore, but they did it for one. Stamkos never works for me, so let me go Marchessault.
Going with Marchessault, who did not practice yesterday, but I think he's going to play. So we'll see tonight. Forsberg, Kimmel,
yeah, what the heck?
Josi, and Marchessault, the selections in Preds pick to click. B-Man on the text line saying that D-Hop's going to score a touchdown in this Super Bowl. He guarantees it.
Ooh. Okay.
Maybe we should have gone D-Hop anytime touchdown. Although he's got 1 catch for 11 yards in the playoffs so far. So,
yeah,
not a ton of production there.
Yeah. Well, you could have done it. What's it matter,
Yeah, thanks.
I was just saying.
You suck royally in this competition. You could have done that. A lot of people that I've seen, both on the text line and on social media, not a huge fan of the idea of Jimmy G becoming the quarterback. Joe Rexrode.
Okay. TD brought it up. Again, my main point is, like, we've thrown all these names out and, like, we never mention him.
Yeah.
It's worth a mention, right?
Sure.
He is he's obviously faded. It wasn't that long ago that he was a decent quarterback in the league.
Devontae Adams not a big fan of him. I know that. Not very good.
Yeah. Devontae, we're just going to the sideline like, God, this guy
this
sucks.
guy is awful.
Yeah.
I got to get out of here.
Worked out well with the Jets, though.
Yeah. Hey, you could get that combo this offseason. You could get Rodgers Adams here if you want to.
Could you?
Maybe.
If you tell me that Devontae Adams comes with Aaron Rodgers, then you know what? Pass the poop tasting mushrooms and let's go. Okay. Actually, right now that'd be fine. Maybe I'd talk myself into being warm.
The Green Bay folk have talked themselves back into Adams is coming back home this offseason.
Yeah?
So goes. Yeah.
So what percentage chance do you think that is? I mean, Josh Jacobs says they need a number one receiver.
I'll give it a more than 7%.
Wow.
Less
So
than 10.
you're telling me there's a chance.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually not – I mean, that's not insignificant.
I mean, he's made some comments on Kay Adams' program as well about how that may be an option. So I'll say there's a chance.
But do you believe that if Rodgers plays that's the intent?
It would be one thing if they got back together in New York and it worked.
Right.
It didn't.
Yeah.
So like if I'm Devontae Adams, I'm like, I want to go somewhere where I can win and be productive.
Here's another
Is that
question.
with Aaron Rodgers and the Titans?
Yeah. No, it's right. But here's another question for you. If he goes to the Green Bay Packers, are we seeing the peak Devontae Adams?
Probably
Is
not.
he clearly by far their best receiver? I mean, I think they have good receivers. I know that
He would be their best receiver, yes.
but I don't think it would necessarily be by a ton. Would
No, it wouldn't be by a
Jaden Reed's
ton.
on the rise here, man.
Yeah, Romeo Dobbs they've got some good receivers, but he would be their number one. Look, if he came here to the Titans, he's the number one over Ridley,
Yeah.
I think right now.
But that'd be good.
But it'd be good.
Yeah.
Like that'd be a heck of a combo
Yes,
to
it
have
would.
here. Like so you're all in on Rodgers if Adams comes with it.
Absolutely. I mean, again, you got to separate. I'm all in anyway for us.
Sure.
Like selfishly, I'm all in. But as I try to think, and put myself in, try to think of the Titans fans who have suffered unnecessarily for too long now, I would say no.
Joe, big W last night for the Lady Vols against
Yes.
UConn. The first time since 2007 that they've taken down Gino Auriemma and the UConn Huskies. Big win for Kim Caldwell last night.
Kim Caldwell's good. A really good coach. And I tell you what, I do think back to, because I think moving on from Kelly Harper, I mean, to me, I think he did it a year earlier than you would have expected, but I think it was probably coming. And, the fans of that program were furious, or at least it seems so. There's a lot of reaction to that. And then you go hire someone who really is kind of off the radar.
Yeah.
It only had been a D1, I think, 1 or 2 years. Danny White, man. Danny White finds talent. He finds coaching talent. And I think he's found another winner here. And I think Kim Caldwell is National Coach of the Year candidate. And that is a massive win for that program.
No doubt.
It's nice to see Gino
It's fun to see
with a little frown on his face,
send
right?
Gino packing a little bit. I enjoyed it. Look, I hope everyone has a great weekend. I hope they enjoy the Super Bowl. I'm going to be gone next week. You're going to be stuck with Kuharski all week. So, Joe, you two have fun.
It's the old man hour, and we will hopefully have blood flowing in our veins during this program's and be able to bring.
I smoke weed constantly.
There we go.
Hope everybody has a great weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Jason Big Joe coming up next live from Chicago. And you'll hear more from us. 102.5, 106.3, The Game.